From the station working for you, this is WRTV News at 5:30, streaming now.
And now at 5:30, October is Bullying Prevention Month. Coming up, one girl's brave story and hopes it does not happen to anyone else. And snow might be the last thing you want to think about right now, but it's on the top of mind for city officials. What they want you to know about preps for winter weather. That's coming up a bit later. Jessica.
Topping the lineup, new recommendations are out today about how to perform CPR, how to safely handle this with COVID, and the new push to reach communities of color. A big shortage of aluminum cans continues to be an issue nationwide. What's driving this and the second supply issue that could be coming next? A number of viral, racially based 911 calls are leading one city to take action, where they could soon be banned, with callers facing fines and the even bigger impact of the move.
October is Bullying Prevention Month, and tonight a young girl is sharing her story only with WRTV. Our Kelsey Anderson now with her advice to others who may be experiencing something similar.
It's not normal to hurt every day, and I thought that it was.
Bella Lazaritas is in the 9th grade. She says since about 5th grade, she realized she was being left out of everything.
I picked last for things. I even worked on a three-person project alone because I was the only one. I usually worked with the teacher. Just no one wanted to talk to me, and I didn't know why.
She says she never told anyone how she was feeling, and eventually the isolation piled up and she had thoughts of harming herself.
You know, it's really hard when your child, when they get to a point where they say they don't want to live anymore.
Bella's mom, Kim Stancombe, says looking back, there were signs that Bella was hurting, but she didn't think her social child would be left out in a crowd.
It made me feel like I was really out of touch, like I didn't really have a handle on what was going on with her emotionally, and it did come to some serious situations because of it.
Her advice to parents is to recognize isolation and notice when your child isn't spending time with their friends. As for Bella, her advice is to not suffer in silence.
I know it's hard to talk to people about it, but at some point, it's just going to keep building up, and it's not healthy for it to build up. I mean, at some point, you just need to tell someone, like, it's not going to get better if you just keep on trying to deal with it yourself, because it hurts, and it takes a toll on your mind to try to go through that alone.
Working for you, Kelsey Anderson, WRTV.
Temperatures not bad today for a fall afternoon. We got numbers generally running in the lower 60s, 61 in Indy, 61 for you in Columbus, upper 50s in Peru. We're really kind of in the middle here because we look down to the south. There are temperatures in the 80s in Nashville, also West Virginia. Look back to the northwest, though. We got numbers in the middle 30s. So the battle is on. Initially, the warmth is going to win out here for us. You look at the radar picture and you can see there's quite a cluster of rain back into portions of Illinois and eastern Iowa. Most of that, though, is going to be lifting off to our north and west. Might get clipped in western locations with an isolated shower this evening. Here's a look at TrueCast. And as we look at 9:30 tonight, there's just a couple of those isolated showers, so really only about a 20% chance of seeing any wet weather there. The evening planning forecast for most of us will just keep those mostly cloudy skies going. Temperatures not moving a whole lot here. We're holding right around 60 degrees through midnight.
Breaking down the full cost of the pandemic. A new podcast from the Journal of the American Medical Association discusses 3 articles on different kinds of loss. That's the financial cost, the cost to communities of color, and mental health costs. The authors say these issues are closely connected. For example, minorities have died from COVID-19 at higher rates, on top of dealing with existing inequities in society.
So many of them were already sort of living economically on the edge, struggling with, getting their basic needs met, making sure they actually had health care and all of that. And now they've sort of been pushed off the ledge.
In mental health terms, the large number of deaths has profoundly impacted families. About 3 to 4 million Americans have lost someone close to them. 10% of those people will experience prolonged grief disorder and struggle to recover. Then there's increased stress overall.
So there is a second kind of psychological epidemic, which is one of anxiety, depression, and difficult to manage uncertainty.
If the virus is contained by next fall, the financial impact is estimated at a $16 trillion loss. That's about 4 times the cost of the Great Recession. The total cost factors in more than just lost income from unemployment.
The point of the economy is not to accumulate sheets of paper with little number signs on them and numbers after them. It's to enjoy life. And so it's that lack of enjoyment, the sort of lost enjoyment of life that people are experiencing.
The Congressional Budget Office says for the next decade, we will not reach the level of economic output that we would have without COVID. Pope Francis is showing support for same-sex marriages. In a new documentary, the Pope says same-sex couples should be legally covered by civil union laws. This is the first time the Pope expressed an interest in substantive policies rather than just welcoming the LGBTQ community. The company that makes OxyContin has reached a settlement with the Justice Department. Purdue Pharma was accused of aggressive marketing of opioid medications. Owners have pled guilty to a number of charges but will not serve prison time. The company will need to pay more than $8 billion as part of the settlement. Purdue will also operate as a public trust under government control. Back to our lineup. New recommendations are out today about how to perform CPR, how to safely handle this in the COVID era. There are new guidelines and recommendations around CPR amid the pandemic. First and foremost, the American Heart Association wants the public to learn this life-saving technique. It doubles the chances of someone surviving, and since most heart attacks happen at home, it's likely you'll be performing it on someone you care about and who you've already been in close contact with. But should a stranger need CPR, coronavirus may cause some hesitation.
But we would emphasize that even now, every second counts. And so we want to act quickly, get help coming, call 911, and then hopefully people will be willing to at least perform chest compressions or hands-only CPR.
Dr. Carl Kern says hand-only CPR is still very effective in the early stages of a heart attack, but breaths may make more of a difference if someone has overdosed on opioids. The updated CPR 2020 guidelines address that because of the growing overdose and death rates.
We would recommend 30 compressions interspersed with 2 breaths after every 30. And then the use of naloxone is really the step forward.
The 2020 guidelines also recognize healthcare disparities in CPR training and the need to reach more communities of color, and it addresses care survivors need.
They often go home still not quite themselves. It's very obvious that there's some memory deficits, and they need real, actual neurologic rehab, and that can be provided. And they need encouragement. It's so easy to be discouraged or depressed or anxious.
There's also recommended technology around CPR, like apps that alert trained people when someone has stopped breathing near them, and 911 calls notifying trained individuals as well. Next in our lineup, a big shortage of aluminum cans continues to be an issue nationwide. What's driving this and the second supply issue that could be coming next? Mail carriers and delivery truck drivers are stretched thin right now. Lindsay Boach shows us how the pandemic is changing their jobs.
Neither snow nor rain nor heat nor gloom of night stays these couriers from the swift completion of their appointed rounds. While it isn't the official Postal Service motto, it's something mailwoman Amy Becerra has kept to for the past
25 years this month.
And now we can add COVID to that list of things that postal workers press through. Amy is one of almost 500,000 mail carriers for the USPS. And for the last 8 of those 25 years, she's had the same route just north of Denver.
My max is usually 6 years. And then I'm like, it's time to move on and learn a different area, and which is really hard because you do get close to your customers.
But because of COVID, the part of her job she loves the most?
My customers, being outside, being able to involve yourself with other people, giving customer service to a wide variety of people.
Has now changed.
I don't see near as many people. Your customers, if they do come out, which is not It's very rare anymore.
And people are ordering things now more than ever.
A lot of people are not going out to stores purchasing. They're staying home doing it on the computer, which gives us more parcels, which is awesome.
It's deemed an essential public service, critical to the nation's infrastructure and critical to so many lives.
We deliver life-saving meds to people.
And also provides a service that many wouldn't think.
You get to know the people, the kids, the pets, who should be around, in the neighborhood, who shouldn't, and people's schedules.
So a few years ago, when one of her customers didn't pick up his mail for a few days, she knew something was wrong. She called for help.
He had just been real sick and completely dehydrated, that every time he'd get up, he'd pass out.
The ER doctor said he wouldn't have made it 24 hours.
I have 5 more years, and I have really bonded with these people out here that I've pretty much promised them, unless the post office takes it away from me, I'm here for 5 more years with them.
So neither snow, nor rain, nor heat, nor gloom of night, nor COVID will stop Amy from delivering to her customers. I'm Lindsay Boach.
Don't be fooled by the relatively mild temperatures we're having. Winter is fast approaching, and today the Indianapolis Department of Public Works gave us a glimpse of how they're preparing for the inevitable snow. We learned DPW has purchased 7 new snow trucks for $2,288,000 each. Some of the old trucks dated as far back as 1989. DPW also has about 18,000 tons of road salt on hand and $2 million additional dollars to spend if needed. Mayor Hogshead says a force of 300 men and women will be ready to roll when the first snow falls.
Each of us depends on our DPW road crews. Whether we're driving, whether we're taking the bus, whether we're in need of emergency assistance, a clear roadway is essential. So on behalf of everyone who will use our Indianapolis roads during the winter, I want to thank the men and the women of DPW's Snow Force. Day and night, these are some of the most dedicated public servants that you will ever meet.
In a nod to the current pandemic, officials say during shift changes this winter, each vehicle will get a thorough cleaning. And later this month, October 28th and 29th, crews will be out on training routes.
And hopefully we won't need to use those snowplows too much for the upcoming winter weather season. But our first average measurable snow less than a month away on November the 19th. Too warm for any of that tonight. We've got our temperature at 61 with mostly cloudy skies, humidities at 75%, winds fairly calm out there for us. And tonight, temperatures will stay pretty comfortable here for the middle of October. We're at 57 in Columbus, 55 in Lafayette. Temperatures as we go throughout our Thursday are going to warm quickly here. We'll start off right around 61 for you at 9 a.m. Look at that, noon, we're into the lower 70s, so maybe a day to take the lunch outdoors. It gets a little breezy into the afternoon, but we're not expecting gusty winds or anything, with temperatures that will make their way well into the 70s, and I think most spots will top out right around 80 degrees for the afternoon high. 82 for you in Columbus, 81 in Lafayette, upper 70s in Peru, and Muncie coming in at 79 degrees. As we look ahead here, we do see the next chance for rain coming our way. That will develop as we go throughout the day on Friday. Even a few thunderstorms going to be possible. Severe weather not expected, and this should move through pretty quickly. So we're not expecting the heavy rainfall like we had last night, but it brings in a big change for Saturday. Just 55 the high there. A little warmer on Sunday, but it comes with a chance for more rain. That will linger into Monday. Jessica?
They may not be able to vote yet, but kids want to be heard heading into the election in less than 2 weeks. The most important quality they overwhelmingly say they want in a local, state, or national leader is honesty. That's followed by empathy.
This actually makes perfect sense when you think about what children are taught from a young age. They're taught to tell the truth. They're taught to care deeply about other people and not just about themselves.
YouGov did this survey of kids ages 8 to 14 on behalf of the Weak Junior. The survey also asked them what would be the first thing they'd do if elected president. The top answer was to make sure everyone feels safe.
This could be reflective of the fact that children's lives have been profoundly affected by the coronavirus this year. Their lives have been upended.
The Week Junior's editor-in-chief says kids are aware of how divisive things are in our country right now. She says you can use this opportunity to reinforce your family's values and ask them what they do differently.
Invite them to ask questions and come to you as a trusted and safe source of information. And this really builds their critical thinking skills.
If kids are looking for ways to get involved, one option could be the new Junior Council through the Week Junior. They're looking for 12 kids. They'll get to put their ideas into action through meetings with civic and community leaders. They'll also have their work published in the magazine. The deadline to apply is November 13th at juniorcouncil.theweekjunior.com. Here's a message you may not have heard enough of from politicians, a call for unity.
We can debate issues without degrading each other's character. We can disagree without hating each other. And win or lose in Utah, we work together.
Spencer Cox and Chris Peterson are opposing candidates in Utah's gubernatorial race. The two released PSAs together to call for civility among voters. Both candidates have promised to respect the outcome of the election. American breweries are running out of cans, and it's impacting their bottom line. It also could mean your favorite beverage might not be there the next time you head to the store. Chris Conti shows us why this is happening and how long it might last.
American breweries are beyond hypotheticals. There are no more what-ifs. The day has come when they've run out of cans. And the scariest thing at Wormtown Brewery in Worcester, Massachusetts this fall has nothing to do with Halloween.
It's just one thing after the other in 2020.
David Field is one of the owners here, where for the first time in company history last week, they ran out of aluminum cans.
We have had a couple of loads of cans canceled on us so far, but last week was the first time we truly ran out of cans.
Shipments like this one are becoming few and far between for breweries and beverage producers nationwide. Americans are drinking less at bars and restaurants and more at home, putting greater demand on liquor stores and breweries like this one.
People drink more often at home. They drink more often in small social circles.
So what's happening? In all of the U.S., there are only 3 major can distributors. Most years, they produce 100 billion cans. This year, there's about a 10% can shortage. To be more precise, that's about 10 billion cans. Part of the shortage is being caused by the explosion of hard seltzers into the market. Many recycling plants also went offline during the spring. Mostly, though, it's supply and demand.
It's going to catch up with everybody. If they haven't been hit by it yet, they will be hit by it, and it looks like it's going to be a little while.
And one of the biggest buzzkills for small breweries is the concern that if a customer can't find their product on a shelf once, they might be gone for good.
That person who loves our beer might be introduced to somebody else's beer they like and may not come back to us.
It's been a tough year, that's for sure.
Chuck Skypeck is with the Brewers Association. They represent more than 5,000 breweries nationwide.
There's been a huge increase in demand for cans that then when the pandemic hit was just accelerated because of the shift, not just of beer, but of all package types into cans.
What it all means for the American consumer? Less options. For beer, yes, but other soft drinks as well. Some breweries are switching back to glass, but many don't have that option. There's also word of an impending bottle shortage as well.
It's really put our smaller members in a really tough spot.
A difficult task for the nation's brewers as they try their best to quench this country's thirst for beer. In Worcester, Massachusetts, I'm Chris Conti.
Finally in our lineup, a number of viral, racially based 911 calls are leading one city to take action, where they could soon be banned, with callers facing fines. San Francisco is close to joining a growing number of areas creating consequences for a modern-day racial problem. The Board of Supervisors voted unanimously in favor of the Karen Act. It's named after a title given to white women who call police on people of color. Karen stands for Caution Against Racially Exploitative Non-Emergencies. It essentially makes calling 911 on someone for their race, religious affiliation, gender, sexual orientation, or gender identity a punishable offense. In this case, the 911 caller could be sued by the victim.
You call the police on me, they come and they assault me or some altercation happens and then I choose to sue the police department or sue you, you could be liable for at least $1,000.
It's kind of cutting edge. It seems to be a real reaction to what's going on right now, and it seems to be a realistic reaction to a real problem.
Meanwhile, other areas are making racist 911 calls a hate crime. California made it a misdemeanor. New York, Oregon, and Washington passed similar bills. Hate crime law experts say these laws send a message to society that this behavior can't be excused.
It also sends an important message to victims that they're worthy, especially a lot of these crimes, something like making a false report to police is a pretty minor crime.
San Francisco's Board of Supervisors will vote on the Karen Act again next week before it goes to the mayor. There are new guidelines out when it comes to the moratorium on evictions in this country. Tomorrow, what they mean for renters who can't pay and why some say policies favor landlords more than tenants.
You might want to break out the shorts tomorrow. We got highs that will approach 80 degrees during the afternoon. It'll be a dry day for us, even mild on Friday at 74 before showers and a few thunderstorms move into the area. Then you can put the shorts away and probably break out those jackets once again. Saturday's high in the middle 50s. We'll be back into the 60s by Sunday with more rain into early next week. So a lot of back and forth with those temperatures. Thanks for joining us here at 5:30. The news at 6.